kati kano ke foreplay bano basitagala kukola foreplay direct bakuli basitagala kukola bakuli direct ke kano kokozesa oba ku mukyala oba ku mwami ke kano kokozesa ku bakuli
ako kokutte kukateekawa ku mumwago then no kuba bakuli naye oba kiba kivaayo kiba kitya
ebyabenya kiba tekivaayo naye eriyo abantu nga abamu batya endwadde.
Hello guys, welcome to my YouTube channel. My name is Tinta Deo Gracious. Hopefully you're very okay. I wanna remind you to subscribe to this channel just in case you've not subscribed. Make sure you hit that bell button so that you get the latest notification when I upload a latest or a new video on this channel. So today I'm gonna be talking about the event that happened at Sackville Banquet Hall in Toronto, Canada. This event really happened on 7th to the 10th May 2024. The event is called Global Conference on Sexual Health, Reproductive Rights and Gender Equity in Humanitarian Crisis. So I'm gonna be giving you a few details on what really transpired there, but we had very many guest speakers ranging from my good friend Sharifa Nalugo, who is an HIV/AIDS and women rights activist. You know, she's a newcomer in Canada, but I love her zeal, I love her power. We had Nasimba Ann, who is a woman and LGBT rights activist. We had Hope Alice Bilungi, who is the founder and the president of Africa Decent Ontario. We had Richard. I loved Richard's speech. I loved Richard's teaching. Richard comes from Toronto Public Health. He's a sexual health promoter. Plus, you know, there are very many guys that really graced the stage from Tashini Rodishi, Lilian Aine Tusime, and Christopher Mlelemba. You know, very many guys, you know, came through to talk about what really is, you know, pushing the LGBT and you know, refugees, and they really needed help about that. So I'm gonna be giving you a few details about this conference. The conference's theme is rights, dignity, access, and advancing sexual health and reproductive rights amidst this crisis. So these guys are really emphasizing the urgent need for comprehensive action in the humanitarian response field. I want to first I want to send my shout outs to Hope for Refugees. They did a very, very good job. Big up to the Chief Executive Officer, Patrick Moesije, who made sure he put up a good show. He brought all the guest speakers to talk about really things that, you know, put the refugees and the marginalized people at risk in Canada. Refugees and displaced populations include women, girls, often face significant challenges in accessing essential and sexual plus reproductive health services, and achieving equity, gender equity and equality is one of the hardest things. So limited access to quality sexual and reproductive health services, including family planning, abortion, post-abortion care services, maternal health, gender-based violence and support, puts the well-being of displaced or refugees population at risk. These gaps are even greater among women and girls in refugees and humanitarian settling, with the need to put conditions like the gender-based violence, unsafe abortion, poor obstetric care, among others, that lead the cause of female morbidity and mortality. Indeed, women and girls in refugees and humanitarian settings globally continue to deprive of basic SRH services, resulting to devastating consequences. It's worth noting that Canada, over the past years, witnessed a significant increase in numbers of refugees and asylum seekers fleeing the conflicts and political instability, wars, and human rights violations, with Ontario registering the highest numbers of experiencing a refugee crisis. Refugees, particularly from Africa, are in Ontario, including women, girls, and LGBT individuals. These guys encounter substantial challenges. These challenges extend beyond accessing basic necessities like housing, food, and jobs, to include barriers in accessing essential health, sexual reproductive health services. The structure and systemic and service-related barriers such as legal status, racism, income inequality, unemployment, limited information, and culture factors contribute to limited access to quality SRH services. These services include family planning, abortion, post-abortion care, maternal health, HIV prevention and treatment, plus gender-based violence support, thereby jeopardizing the health and well-being of refugees. In the conference, really talked about leveraging this conference and addressing these challenges. And some of the challenges include knowledge exchange and sharing best practices. Facilitated sessions where experts and practitioners will share innovative strategies, talk about the issues and things happening in our community so that we can fight them. Policy advocate and recommendation. Here, expecting the NGOs, advocates to collaborate and think of a policy to recommend which can address the SRH and gender equity in humanitarian crisis. Empower local communities, thinking of empowering the local communities through jobs, through equipping individuals with skills and knowledge, and promoting rights, gender in their specific context. Strategic partnership and funding. Hopefully, the conference will reach out to funders and donors so that it can get real funds to push this agenda home. So there are very many things that really we talked about in this conference, and hopefully, guys, you can be part of this event come next year. To me, this was my best conference of this year. Hopefully, I will see very many conferences and come back and talk about them. But still, this was a game changer to our conferences and issues happening to directly to refugees and LGBT people. So if we can address all these things that we talked about in the conference, hopefully there is a good Canada for everyone. So I want to big out to send my shout outs to Hope for Refugees, specifically Patrick Mwesige, the Chief Executive Officer, that made sure he does the nitty-gritty of organizing this event and making sure everyone is on board to talk about issues pertaining the sexual health, reproductive rights, and the gender equity among refugees, among the LGBT, among the less marginalized people. So by uniting key stakeholders, this conference, was aiming to create a positive impact leading to improved sexual health, reproductive rights, and gender equity, and among humanitarian crises worldwide. Together we can build a bridge, restore dignity for those affected by crisis. So whoever joined, whoever was part of this conference, you are very big. Thank you so much. My name is Tinta. Please subscribe to this channel. I have very many videos. I have lots of content that I'm gonna be sharing with you, so don't miss out. And I'll be bringing you more conferences that really happening in Canada.
So and just in that word, the only job we are considered to do in this country, most of us, we are considered to go and work in factories. Remember, all these people, they came from where they came from with experience, with degrees, diplomas, and they are just there. They can't get anything with all those papers. We are being told to go back to school. 1 year, 2 years, I think. 3 years, by the time I'm getting a good job, it will take me not even 2 years or 3 years. It will take me 5 years. I'm 3 years. But up to date, have never settled in this country. Like, have never. Now ask yourself, what of a refugee? What of a newcomer who came last month? Who came last year? That's why we are here, to request you. If you can, if I know you are able to work with HRI to hold our hands, the hands of refugees and newcomers, to help us to navigate in this country. It is really difficult for us. We are going through hard time, and I know for sure if you hold our hands, we are not going to lose focus. And also, information is something else. If you can engage the HRI organization, you give them you inform them with each and every information. If there are job opportunities, you can share through the committee, you can share through the officials of HRI, so that they can know and they can see how they can help all these spaces that are jobless. For sure, as you know, blacks, we are known when it comes to work. We are not lazy, and if you give us that opportunity, we are going to make the country continue shining, because we never came here to joke around. And it's also part of making the country grow, because when you're working, the tax is being deducted, right? So it is going to help me as a refugee. I'm also helping the country. So I really appreciate if you can work hand with all these refugees, for them to get health facility to be near, like health facilities to be near each and every shelter. Information, the issue of
or not. So the work I do at Shore, when I started there, I was actually volunteering, and at the same time I was volunteering with my refugee health clinic. And so I wasn't charging clients for services. And that's something that Shore has worked really hard to maintain. There's now 3 nurse practitioners, and all the physicians will offer pro bono services if needed. So that addresses the healthcare provider piece. You're not paying to come and see me. We have free samples of contraception. We have free samples of internal and external condoms, latex-free and latex-free. I can access through Big Pharma free IUDs. Shore Center as well has been able to, through donations, purchase hundreds of at-cost IUDs. So if you don't qualify because of income for these programs, you can pay over the span of a year. We've partnered with local pharmacies that have pots of funding to cover things like Plan B when it's necessary. Plan B, if it's written as a prescription, is covered, but there's a delay in getting a prescription. So there are workarounds. They're not the straightforward, and there's a lot of education there. But I've always prided myself in trying to provide the care that people need, and that's the definition, or the difference between equal and equitable access. Equal access is giving everybody the same pot of resources, but equitable is bringing everybody up to the same bare minimum. And that's what we're looking to do, provide more for people who need more, because at the end of the day, we're all humans.
Very much, as I said earlier to Miriam, who made a follow-up, through email with the other questions that we have. To Susan, as a community representative, I have one of the big questions in the room for you. If you were in a place of decision making, let's say you're the Prime Minister of Canada, right? What would you do differently to address the issues of employment, the Canadian experience requirement, and also all these issues to do with not recognizing the expertise of the migrants when they come to Canada? Madam Prime Minister.
Okay, the issue of job employment first. When a refugee, a newcomer comes here, we have experience back from our countries. We don't need to be requested to have that Canadian experience, because if I'm a nurse, if I was a nurse back in my country, and I could treat someone who has malaria, and someone here in Canada has malaria, I think the treatment is all the same, right? So I don't need to be asked of Canadian experience. That one is something which is supposed to be abolished. Let's be treated equal. The way refugees from peace country or when they come here, they are never asked of any experience. They come here, they are provided job even without applying. Let us also, we as Black people, be given those job opportunities just like any other refugee.
Thank you very much. Distinguished.
You can get tested for sexually transmitted infections. You can do HIV testing. You can do Pap tests. You can anything that's sexual health related. You can get referrals for abortions. Am I missing anything?
Birth control, low cost, and if you can't afford even the low cost, they can give it to you and you can pay us back, and if you can't do that, then you can have it for free. So really it's designed to have as low barrier as possible. If you need treatment for sexually transmitted infections, you also get that treatment for free, so you won't have to pay for any prescriptions for that.
And IUDs and IUSs, which is an intrauterine method of birth control, we have certain low-cost places that you can get them as well.
Also in the city, there are community health centers. Are people familiar with community health centers?
If you've ever heard of a community health center, just put your hand up.
Have you heard of one? Okay.
A few people, okay.
So community health centers also don't require any type of insurance, but they have waiting lists. And sometimes they're based on the area that you live in. Sometimes it's population based. Some of them focus on people from Caribbean, African, Black communities. Some are women's health and women's hands, for example, is another one. So it's always a good idea to get your name on one of their lists to try to get space in one of the community health centers.
They provide general primary care for all sorts of things, as opposed to the sexual health clinics, which are just sexual health focused.
If you have a sore throat or an ear infection, although we feel badly for you, we're not going to do anything for you.
At the sexual health clinics.
At the sexual health clinics.
At the community health clinics.
At the community health centers, we will. They will.
And also accessing treatment for people who are HIV positive who don't have any type of insurance, because I think the federal intern program provides recipients with the same medications that's provided through the Ontario drug benefit program. But anyone who doesn't have any health care, there is a clinic called the Blue Door Clinic, specifically again for people who are HIV positive for HIV treatment.
So,
Yeah, go ahead, please.
we're very on the cuff today. So one of the reasons we were invited is so the three of us were all sexual health promoters with Toronto Public Health, and I think we have the best job in the world because every day we get to go out and talk to people about sex. Right? Some people will be like, that's a nightmare. I would never, ever, ever want that job. But for the three of us who are very comfortable talking about issues related to sexuality, sexual intercourse, sexual practices, sexual orientation, any other words you can come up with the word sexual in it, it's a great job.
We can say the word penis and vagina out loud without blushing or anything else.
So sometimes we get to talk to young people. We even like help teachers learn how to teach about puberty and getting taller and growing boobs and getting periods and all that stuff.
And hairy.
And hairy for their 5s and 6s. Sometimes we get to talk to parents about raising sexually healthy children or how to talk to your kids about sexual health, about keeping you safe, about your bodies, about boundaries, all of that. We get to talk to kids in high school about sexually transmitted infections and birth control, and we get sometimes to talk to other adults, which is really lovely. And we do this all over the city of Toronto. So today we're asked to talk about a few different things, and we're going to try to make it interactive, which is why you guys are all sitting here as opposed to back there. So some of the things that we're going to talk about today, we're going to, depending on how our time goes, we're going to do a little on birth control, a little on STIs. Some of you might have already caught some STIs in the group.
Some of you may have STIs that I don't know about. In fact, I think I gave them to you.
You can talk a little bit about it.
You're welcome.
And help you.
It's a bonus of mine. STIs to different people. It's part of the job.
But I just wanted to say one other thing just about healthcare, and that is that people have to have an advocate. You have somebody who's sick, you need to go with them, and you need to advocate for them in the Canadian healthcare system. And as you all know better than I do, racism is alive and well within the healthcare system. And I can tell you a quick little story. I'm at the hospital with my partner. He's Ojibwe. He's First Nations, and his mother is there. She's the patient, and both of them. I'm obviously white. They're Indigenous, and every single for your friends, for your family, in healthcare. So sorry, I talked to you.
No. Did you want to do the intro, or did you want to what do you want to do?
I think, do we need the ground rules?
Ground rules are pretty, well, we can do ground rules. You guys can ask whatever you want. We don't want to know anything personal. I don't want to know about, your best friend or your son or your daughter or you personally. And, we're pretty good at sharing personal stuff about us, but we only go so far.
Yeah.
So you can, there are no dumb questions, as we all know. You guys can ask us anything. We can ask a lot of things. If we don't know the answer to a question that you ask, we will find it out and get back to somebody to get back to.
Yeah, we don't feel any shame in not knowing something, and we want to encourage you to also not feel shame in not knowing something, because if you don't know it, chances are there's probably someone else in the group who also doesn't know it, and we can all learn from each other. And we're not just going to sit here and talk to you for a half an hour. We want you to share the knowledge that you have as well in your experience.
I just have to say something. Richard just shared something about his family, but last week I did a group, and we have a new method of birth control. Well, a newer one that's come out, like an implant. And although I know something about it, I've read about it, one of the women in my group actually had it and spent 5 minutes talking about how she got it, what it felt like, and all that other stuff. And she's had it for 3 months, and so she shared it with everybody else. So it was a great learning experience because because of COVID, we were all out of a lot of stuff for a long time. We've just gotten back into it. So we're learning as well as with everybody else. So do we want to talk about all the STIs that I gave to everybody?
Yeah, go for it.
We have HIV.
Yeah.
Okay. So congratulations to everybody who has an STI at the moment. No shame, no stigma, no anything. Just, shit happens. Okay, pink spiraling thing. Any idea what that is? Who has that? What do you have? like an STI thing already today? No STD, STI? So syphilis. Syphilis is a sexually transmitted infection, and it's a spirochete. So it is actually a little thing that goes into your body like this. King Henry VIII died of it, and I'm sure all his wives had it too, but nonetheless, they were beheaded, so they didn't die of syphilis, they died of lack of a head. It's treatable. A lot of the time, syphilis, it comes with a sore, like it's like you get a pimple, or it's called a chancre. Chancre, right? Yeah, it's called chancre, and it comes and it's painless and it usually goes away. So everybody thinks, awesome, I'm fine. It's come and it's gone and I don't have to worry about it. But it does stay in your system, it does need treatment. It is treatable, but it needs to be looked into. So if you're having unprotected sex with somebody you don't are not using a condom with, it's really important to get it treated. Syphilis has gone up, what's the stats on it, Richard? Syphilis has gone up like, syphilis has gone up 271%, I believe.
Yeah.
Something like that in the past 10 years. So
It was almost gone at one point.
It was
and
almost-
yeah, and it's really come back.
we had 3 cases, I think in 1990 or 1988, I can't remember when I heard, no, it must have been 90. So 1990, we had 3 cases of syphilis in the city of Toronto. And now we've got, 400 or something like that. Syphilis can also be transferred to your baby. So if you're pregnant, you can give congenital syphilis to your child, and which can result in blindness, as well as lipids. But it's really important to get tested if you are pregnant for STIs.
It's actually up 389%. We're seeing a large increase in STIs in Ontario and in Canada, and syphilis is probably the most dramatic increase that we are seeing.
But one of the good things, like Leslie said, it's an easy test. It's a blood test, which again we offer for free at our sexual health clinics. So and it's curable. So if you do have syphilis, if it comes back, there is a cure for syphilis. So that's something really good to know. Anybody who's pregnant has probably also offered it along with HIV testing to make sure that it is not transmitted to their baby. Because we're also seeing an increase in babies being born with syphilis, which can be incredibly dangerous. So it's kind of one of those good news, bad news things. You've got the bad news of how much it's increased and the effects of it, but the good news is a relatively easy test and there's a cure.
And you could pick up syphilis. Sometimes you could have somebody coming into clinic to get treated for syphilis who was in their 80s, and they would have the 3rd stage of syphilis, or hadn't really. They could develop into the 3rd stage, so you could have it for many, many years, but it can later on affect your brain,
Brain function.
your heart, other vital organs. So it is important to be tested and to be treated.
So even though, we were listening to the lack of treatment, lack of physicians, lack of places to go for treatment, really important if you're pregnant to get tested for STIs and STIs beforehand. Okay, sir, you have a lovely thing that I gave you. What did I give you? I gave you crabs. Not the kind that you eat with butter. The other kind. So crabs, anybody know what crabs are? They're an irritant. They can be sexually transmitted, but they can also be transmitted through sleeping in somebody else's sheets who have crabs, using a towel of somebody else who have crabs. They're a pest. They're a nuisance. But they're not the end of the world.
They're
They're a
lice.
pain in the butt. They're like lice.
Yeah,
Yeah.
hanging around the genitals.
Yeah. They have a good time.
And you would know if you have crabs because you eat scratch.
Yeah, it's sort of your itch. That's right. They hide in your pubic area. Yep. So you're walking around sort of going,
They're very, very small. They're not this big.
yeah, no, they're not this big.
dry blood.
Oh, you know, when we start talking about crabs and lice, all of a sudden I start scratching no matter what.
Do you have a question? How do they come to be in their bodies? Yeah, so it can be through sexual contact, any kind of rubbing where your pubic area and someone else's pubic area, the crabs go back and forth, but also through towels or sheets, potentially. They can live there as well. So it is quite similar to head lice in that it's body-to-body contact. Again, the good news about it is there is treatment to make them go away. There's
It's easy, it's a pain, but it's easy. It's a specific type of shampoo.
Lots of laundry, lots of
laundry, yeah, you have to do sheets, you have to do towels, stuffed animals that your kids have in their bed and stuff
You
like
have to
that.
do through 2 cycles because there's an egg cycle too. But all that information will be given to you at one of the central health clinics with the nice care off sheet so you can know what to do and stuff.
the stuff we're talking about today. We're just giving you kind of a little taste. That's maybe a bad word.
That is a bad word.
But a little bit about all these STIs. But if you have any concerns in general, if something is going on for your genitals that are different than it normally is, so you're having pain, you're having itching, you're having bleeding, you're having sores or pimples, you're having odor, you're having something that is different than it normally is for you, please come to a sexual health clinic. Again, you can find out where they are by calling 311, looking on the website, or we also have some pamphlets for the Sexual Health Information Line in Ontario. Come to a sexual health clinic, they'll check you out, they'll test you, they'll treat you, all of it.
And if you're ever at a sexual health clinic and you're, because this happened to me where somebody comes in and they don't want a male counselor, not a problem. Usually I think most of the doctors are female at our clinics, but again, that is not an issue. If you prefer to talk to somebody who's female or male, it's up to you.
Who has another one? Who has another STI that I've given them? I see one over here. What do you have? You have what? Hepatitis. What's hepatitis? Other than a very pretty yellow thing. Hepatitis is a virus. There are 3 different types of hepatitis that we're the most concerned about. Hepatitis A, B, and C. Hepatitis B is the one that's the most commonly sexually transmitted. Hepatitis A can also be sexually transmitted, and but it's mostly in food. Yep. And hepatitis C is transmitted through blood-to-blood form. So it is. So in grades 7 and 8, what we do is we give kids hep vaccine, which decreases the risk for hepatitis. Sorry?
But if you had, let's say, a persistent sore throat and you went to the doctors, or if you were having bleeding from your rectum, like I said, anything unusual for you that doesn't go away, good to get it checked out. Could it be nothing related to HPV and just, constipated or something? Yeah, for sure. But that's general habit. It is something called a rectal or anal pap. But as far as I know, at least since before COVID, it was not a very widespread test that was done.
I think it would be more mainly done with people who had HIV, who had HIV, and whose immune systems weren't doing well.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, so who's got my next STI? Oh, what do you have? Okay, what do you have? Oh, you have gonorrhea. Okay, we'll do gonorrhea first. Oh, you've got.
That's probably chlamydia. You want to do them
That's
together?
chlamydia.
Do them together.
So let's do gonorrhea and chlamydia. Congratulations, ladies. Gonorrhea and chlamydia, the 2 most common STIs. All right.
So gonorrhea is up 171% in Canada, and chlamydia is up 26%. And the highest ranges that we see STIs are between the ages of 20 to about 25, and also about 15 to 20. That's the highest ranges.
The good news is chlamydia and gonorrhea are both very, very preventable with a condom use if we're talking about penis and vagina or penis and penis sexual intercourse. because it is not passed through that skin-to-skin rubbing, but it's actually in the semen or the vaginal fluids. So a condom is very good protection against it. And the other good thing is chlamydia and gonorrhea are both curable with antibiotics. So those are two good things to know about them. If they are not treated, then it can cause more complications.
It can cause infertility in women. A lot of the time, the symptoms of chlamydia and gonorrhea are, kind of smelly, and a lot of discharge. Apparently, when boys have gonorrhea, it feels like you're hitting a razor blade, it really hurts. And chlamydia, a lot of the time, is can be transmitted silently because you don't have a lot of symptoms, boys and girls. Men and women don't have a lot of symptoms, so you can transmit it back and forth with different partners because you don't know. So one of the things is, as long as you use condoms and the condoms don't break and you get yourself tested on a regular basis, then you can figure out what's going on.
Tuli ku conference Hope for Refugees conference
Hope for Refugee International
organization etegese conference eno.
Yes sir.
Amanya gwani okolangane.
Nze Mugulusi Martha akulembera aba volunteer ku Hope for Refugee International.
Nze Lukungu Hajara ndi volunteer ku Hope for Refugee International.
Okay, okusinziira ku bakulu abadde bateesa boogedde ku nti ba refugees almost 80% they lack of condoms. Musogerako ki? What does it mean? Mbalaba waneno mwino obupiira obw'enjawulo ba refugees bayinza bufuna abatya babajjawa.
Ekyokugamba nti tebabuyina sikirinaako bukakafu naye by the time bwekifulumye nti tebabuyina kitegeeza tebabuyina.
Kanziremu kubuuza bupya. One of the guest speakers ayogedde n'agamba almost 80 to 85% of refugees abali mu Canada oba Ontario space, they lack condoms plus contraceptives. Kati mwenga ba Hope for Refugees mukozeewo ki okubeera nga ba refugees abo bafuna obupiira obwo era babujjawa?
Webale nnyo ekibuuzo ekyo. Obupiira obwo Hope for Refugee ebeera nabwo tugenda ne tubufuna mu bibiina ebibuga ebitugabira ebituwa naffe ne tubituusa kuba refugee. So kati bwe twogera ssaawa zino era abamu ku abo abavunaanizibwa babutuleetedde, ndowooza osobola obbulaba, babuleese mu bungi, osobola okutwala ekipaka kiramba oba osobola okikozesa. Baleese obw'omumwa, omukyalo najja agenda kunnyonnyola kamu ku kamu, baleese n'ebirala bingi. So abaana abali eyo nga obuntu buno babwetaaga nga bubaweddeko, enamba zaffe baziyina, okuba essimu ffe ne tubukutuusaako.
Then waliwo n'ekirala mbadde mu audience awo, omu ku bantu n'agamba nti obupiira oba condoms eza abazungu ze bakola size ntono nnyo ku Bafirika, ku Bannayuganda. Kati is it true nti size y'obupiira ba refugees tebubatuuka bulungi and omuntu akola atya okutegeera size y'entuufu?
Akabuuzaako kakati ekibuuzo ekyo yes kituufu, kubanga obanga okompayarinze aba Africans n'abazungu era size si kyeki si yemu naye nga bakola different sizes. Kati olaba bulu ono bulu obw'abaami abaddugavu eno yowabami abaddugavu, kati ono black yowabami abazungu.
Kitegeeza bulu olinga
yemala bulungi. Kati ono
ngalinga lugalo lwa peni
ddala kyekyo kyennyini.
Okay, so abakyala ba Hope for Refugees International waliwo ekibuuzo abantu badde babuuza condoms zino eno, is it true nti abaddugavu oba abannayuganda bangi nnyo bazigula oba bazifuna naye nga tezibatuuka bulungi?
Weebale nnyo ekibuuzo ekyo ssebo. Yes, si kituufu kubanga eriyo types. For example, kati eno type ey'abaami abaddugavu 6 inch ba Africans. Kati eno type ey'abaana abaami baffe abazungu abatawera bulungi. Kati zino ze z'abakyala
tebawera.
Zino ze z'abakyala. Nsuubira kati mumanyi engeri gye bazikozesa ez'abakyala. Then buno
kakomomwa
kano
kuyambeko kanyonyoye.
Kati kano ke foreplay. Bano basitagala kukola foreplay direct. Bakuli basitagala kukola bakuli direct. Ke kano kokozesa oba ku mukyala oba ku mwami, ke kano kokozesa ku bakuli.
Ako kokutte kukateekawa ku mumwago then nokuba bakuli naye oba kiba kivaayo kiba kitya?
Ebyamenya kiba tekivaayo naye eriyo abantu nga abamu batya endwadde, abamu nga batya maybe batya ezo STDs biki abamu si bayonjo. Kati bw'obanga omuntu omwenyenyala omala gakozesa kano oba kivaayo yebeera egundi yo bw'oba osazeewo.